Hi everybody. I've been asked about question 16 again. I've sent the mark schemes out, but not always quite that easy to follow. It's a good question. Question 16 it gives you a function g of x, and it says it wants g dash x in the form e to the minus 2x times some other function f of, and so they've called it f of x. It's a product rule question, but it could be done in a few ways. If you had x squared e to the minus 2x as your u, you'd have to use the product rule on that to get du. So what you're best off doing is expanding this x squared times 1 minus x, so you get this, and then u can be that and v can be that, and so we get the little table here. You should be well rehearsed in this practice now because of the amount of questions you've done on it. And it's an example of how they can force you to simplify and factorize. So if you've not been doing that to standard in your homework and in your practice, then it can catch you out. So here's an example of that. So the important thing here is it wants e to the minus 2x times some other function. So it quite helpfully tells you what factor to take out. So I've just worked through that there. You've got e to the minus 2x times all this. So I'll give you that to just follow. If you've got any problems, ask me. Then I've just stated f of x just to be complete. Now for b, this is the hard part. The range, you can see from the diagram, I've drawn it out again here. The range, if you remember, the scanner, it's got no y values until I get to this point. So I know I'm going to be interested in that point, as in the y value of that point. And I've got curve all the way from that point there to this point here. And so I need this coordinate and I need this coordinate. And the way I'm going to do that, because these are quite clearly turning points, I'm going to solve g dash x equals 0. And so if g dash x is this and that equals 0, it's in factorized form, so it's going to be either this equals 0 and I get no solutions for that factor, or this equals 0. So I'll solve this cubic equal to 0. Could use my calculator. In fact, I did use my calculator. I took out a common factor of x first, but then I solved the quadratic on my calculator. And so x could be 0, but it's quite clearly not going to be that point, because we're not interested in that one, but it must be a turning point there as well. And it must curve up like that. Anyway, but it's quite obviously this value of x and this value of x. So we got x is a half, x equals 2. Now, because it's the range we're considering, we need to work out the corresponding y coordinates. So we've got at x equals a half, y equals 1 over 8e, and that's just come from subbing in this. You have to make these answers exact. They have to be. So you've got to put x equals a half into the original function g of x, but you've got to work through carefully and get your answer as an exact. Decimal answers just won't be right. So you can see that for yourself in the mark schemes. So if you think you're going to get away with it on the day with a non-exact answer, you won't. So let's get that sorted now. Corresponding y coordinate for x equals 2 is this, and so the range is this, and it's like that business there, isn't it? The asymptote's not important because the curve goes right through 0. So whilst at this part here it's only tending towards 0, there is an x value that gives me 0. So don't worry about that. And it's less than or equal to signs, because it could, again, there are x values where y is 1 over 8e and y is minus 4 over e to the 4. C, something about an inverse probably. G of x is not a one-to-one function. You can check the mark scheme for the different ways you can answer that. Okay, cheers.